When does the journey to the next life actually begin? Is it when the heart stops beating? Is it when limbs turn blue? It actually begins in those final breaths while you are still technically alive. Wherever your death will be, on the motorway, in a hospital bed, in your office chair, in the corner of your bathroom, the unveiling of the other world has already started. Contact is being made. The joy or horror of what you are about to enter starts to seep into this world before you fully leave it. This is a moment of remarkable clarity. Here the Prophet ﷺ said, at this moment, من أحب لقاء الله أحب الله لقاءه ومن كره لقاء الله كره الله لقاءه. Whoever loves to meet Allah, Allah loves to meet him. And whoever hates to meet Allah Almighty, Allah hates to meet him. Now our mother Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, or one of the other wives of the Prophet ﷺ, she said when she heard this, but we all dislike death. So she was thinking to herself that, here I am fasting, praying, I live for Allah, yet I still dislike death. What does that say about me? Because after all, isn't death the doorway to the meeting of Allah? And this is when the Prophet ﷺ gently corrected her misunderstanding. And he said to her, لَيْسَ ذَاك. It's not that. Meaning, it's not about your natural dislike of the unknown. It's not about your instinct as a human being to cling to life and family and unfinished work. Rather, as he explained, that when the believer is at that very end, when death arrives, something changes. The veil begins to lift. And here the believer is given the good news of Allah's pleasure and honor. And so in that moment, nothing becomes dearer to him or her. Nothing is more beloved to them than what lies ahead. So they love to meet Allah at that moment. And so Allah reciprocates this, and He will love to meet them. And as for the unbeliever, it's the opposite. When death draws near, the veil also lifts, but to a different reality altogether. They are received with awful promises of pain and punishment laid out before them. And so nothing is more hated to them than what's coming. So they hate to meet Allah at that moment, and Allah reciprocates this, and He hates to meet them. So this is not about the fear of death itself, it's about what is revealed at the moment of death. For the very first time in your life, the hereafter is no longer hiding behind a wall as you begin to see the unseen, to hear the unheard, to feel the weight of your life's choices in real time. At the moment of transition, a punishment or a joyful reception begins before the soul has even left the body. The face of the other world has already arrived. Now let me give you a worldly example, an analogy that perhaps we can all relate to. Imagine we are all travelers stepping off the same plane, arriving at the same airport, two people who walked the same aisles, they heard the same engine hums, they felt the same descent. But the moment they cross the threshold of arrival, their worlds completely split. One of them emerges to warmth, sees familiar faces waiting just beyond the barrier, smiles breaking, hands waving, arms ready to wrap around him or her. Someone rushes forward with flowers, another throws their arms around his neck, and he hears words of welcome home and we've been waiting, and subhanAllah, his shoulders drop and his exhaustion dissolves, and that long journey now makes sense. He realizes at that moment that home was never just a place, a destination, it was a reception. And as for the other arrival, this person is intercepted. The moment he steps off the aircraft, no smiles, no flowers, just a sudden change in tone. The officers intercept him, fluorescent lights are cutting down harshly, his passport is held up against the scanner, his bags are emptied on a cold metal table. Every question feels like an accusation. Every pause feels dangerous. His body is tense, his heart sinks. Before he even sees the country, he already knows that this will not be a welcome. This is going to be a reckoning. This is how arrivals work. You feel the truth of a place well before you enter it. You taste your reception before you see the new world. In that first moment, the moment your feet cross over, you already know which way the wind is blowing. And so it is with death. Before the soul leaves the body, before the limbs go cold, before the grave is sealed, the welcome begins. Light or darkness, fragrance or foulness, honor or disgrace, the soul begins to sense its fate immediately as the veils peel back and the unseen begins to step forward. No narration captures this unveiling more vividly than the narration of Al-Bara ibn Azib, may Allah be pleased with him, which places us right at that mysterious overlap, that trembling boundary where the dunya is slipping away and the akhirah is now pressing in. This companion, Al-Bara, he says that they once went out with the Prophet ﷺ for the funeral of a man from the Ansar. And the moment they reached the grave site, the grave was yet to be dug, and the Prophet ﷺ sat down and everyone sat around him. And silence was so deep, he said, that it was as if birds were perched on their heads. Pin drop silence. Here the Prophet ﷺ held a stick in his hand and he gently struck the earth, and then he lifted his head, and in that moment he said, "Ista'idhu billahi min adhab al-qabri." Seek refuge in Allah from the punishment of the grave. He said this twice or three times. Then he said, "Inna al-abda المؤمن إذا كان في انقطاع من الدنيا وإقبال من الآخرة نزل إليه ملائكة من السماء بيض الوجوه." He says that when a believing person is about to depart this world and enter into the next, angels with radiant faces descend from the heavens, and their faces are shining like the sun, and they bring with them a shroud from paradise and a perfume from paradise, and they sit before him as far as the eye can see. And then the angel of death comes and sits by his head and says to him, "Ayyatuha an-nafsu at-tayyiba," O pure soul, emerge, come out to the forgiveness of Allah and His pleasure. And then the soul will flow from the body so smoothly, like a drop of water coming out from a cup, from a pitcher. But not every arrival is that gentle, because then the Prophet ﷺ described the other path. And he said, وَإِنَّ الْعَبْدَ الْكَافِرَ إِذَا كَانَ فِي انْقِطَاعٍ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَإِقْبَالٍ مِنَ الْآخِرَةِ نزل إليه من السماء ملائكة سود الوجوه. That the disbelieving person, however, when he is about to depart from this world and about to enter into the next, this is the idea of about to leave this world and enter the next. Angels with dark faces descend from the heavens, carrying very coarse garments. And they sit before him as far as the eye can see. Then the angel of death approaches him and says, "O evil soul, come out to the anger of Allah and His wrath." And the soul scatters, it flees throughout the body. And so he rips it out like a thorny branch being dragged through wet wool. So pay attention. In both instances, the expression of is about to depart this world and enter the next. The tone is set immediately. And once this veil starts to lift, there's no confusion about what lies ahead.